It's a Honda, the vehicles that last forever, with 217,000 miles. Hello, Mr. Crud.
Had the flat the other day, so same thing could happen to me.
So what we're doing here for the last 2 hours is we just switched bushings and a pin on this door hinge. You'd think that Honda would make them identical, just flip it over side to side. Well, it is identical, except that it's not. The bolts are opposite. This bolt is over there, and that bolt is over here, because this is a passenger side hinge that came from the junkyard. And you'd think maybe this part would be the same. It is, except that it's not, because they've got a larger bushing on the top than on the bottom. So I took this all apart, I put a bolt in temporarily, got this one in the mail from Mr. Nick. And see that? It's got a step in the pin. So I ended up just taking out the bushings. These are the old ones. I took out the bushings and they didn't disintegrate like GM's. They're better built bushings. I took out the bushings and I put them in this hinge. And I went to close the door and it was sagging real bad before, but it was still sagging a bit. So with great fanfare, I was able to get a wrench in here. But it is really tight. Now the sun comes out just when I'm making a video. To get a wrench in here, it's a really tight squeeze because the extrusion from the hinge is in the way and the fender's in the way. But I did it. 2 hours to change what should be a 10-minute job. But now the door closes perfectly because I got that lined up just right. What a chore. And then, there's your spare tire, just need a jack. And then we went to change the cabin filter. This filter was changed in 2002 when the vehicle was a year old, and then never changed after that. So, if you look inside here, it's all full of leaf and debris. So what you need to have is a skinny filter, and this one just goes in there. Look at that. And I've got another one that's not quite as skinny, but the skinny part is longer. So I can put that in there and vacuum out all the debris from this disgusting filter. It is blocked and the fan makes a brrr noise. Then we were taking out a bolt to get this support off. We took off this one and it flew. Whee! Luckily I had a magnet because it was right there. I took off this piece of molding and then one of the clips broke. Frustrating. Doing a simple job. So that's the story of the hinge pin. The glove box, got the bolts for that in the ashtray where they belong. And the filter has microban, now enhanced with microban. And it's made in where most filters are made. They used to be made in the good old USA or Canada. Wicks, made in China. You just can't resist. Communist slave labor. Now I gotta put the computer back because we were looking for the bolt. Luckily this computer doesn't sit too close to the floor where it can get all wet. I've been watching a few videos, Scanner Danner. Jeez, these cars are too complicated. I'll just stick to the old beasties from the 60s. We don't need no computer controlled garbage. Does it get any better fuel mileage? I'll show you something. That's interesting. I just drove diesel. I just drove my Tornado to Saratoga Springs and back twice, and I got 16, 17, 18 miles per gallon at 60 miles an hour. 1966 technology, 425, 385 horsepower. Yep, ultra high compression. And last year I drove this thing 5,000 miles, and I was getting 30 miles per gallon with ancient 1990s V6 Mitsubishi technology. This Cadillac, mind you, this thing will suck gas. That old gas filter, no problemo. Got a brand new one right here because those deteriorate and the birds chirp. This thing gets 10 miles per gallon, and I just took off the front tires and I rotated them because this one was wearing out substantially on the outside. And these rims are thick, man, oh man. What I was doing was I adjusted this tie rod end. I disconnected it from the steering knuckle and I turned it one turn because I think that this wheel was turned in a tiny bit, so I tightened it and I turned that wheel out. The way to do it is to loosen both tie rod ends and then turn the center link. But I just took a chance, and now we'll see if this tire wears on the outside. So those are all the stories. My Ford truck, my 17, 18 mile per gallon Tornado. Let's see what the fuel mileage was. Got it written down right here. Grab bar. I always check my fuel mileage. I got, going 60 miles an hour, taking it really easy, 17.2 miles per gallon and 16.2, and one of them was 18. I just gotta drive really easy. What's this one? 18.5. Yep, just driving real slow. 425, 385 horsepower, ultra high compression. And then 4 years ago, I drove the Olds 98 from Cleveland to Detroit to Toronto to Montreal, back to New York, and I got 19 miles per gallon with a 455. Going real easy, slow up the hills. It's very flat from Cleveland to Detroit to Toronto to Montreal, flat, flat, flat. And this thing, the BMW, is going back on the road any minute. And this thing gets 28 miles per gallon. I got a few more. Lots of toys. All right, we got to mark a line here on the ground for this towed T-Ruck, whatever that is.
It's going to disappear almost.
Good enough. Maybe you'll disappear one day. CRU double D.